MOBAs. It has the word battle in its name, and despite that, it still won't fight me. The MOBA genre in its games has what one might call a generational run within the gaming world. League of Legends was once the most played PC game of all time. Dota has the biggest prize pool in gaming history. That's about it. It's just these two. Sorry, everyone else. But nowadays, it seems like MOBA hype is officially over. So is there any hope left for future games within this genre to even exist? And more importantly, to survive? Well, it just so happens that Valve's newest game might actually be the one to finally usher in MOBA to the next generation. What is that new game, you might ask? Well, it's...
Wait a minute, hold on, that's the wrong logo, god damn it!
Deadlock, Valve's latest game that technically doesn't exist, and despite that, it still gets insane and frequent updates. Deadlock has had its peak about a year ago or so, when the mystery about its existence was in full swing, and despite that, it still maintains an active and extremely passionate player base. Taking all the following games at their peak, Deadlock has already surpassed other MOBA all-timers such as Heroes of Newerth, Heroes of the Storm, and Smite, and Deadlock isn't even out yet. Hell, Deadlock on a normal day can probably surpass these other MOBAs when it comes to their current player bases. Combined. Probably. Don't quote me on that. MOBAs were once the king of the gaming world, but nowadays, their gaming dominance has kind of faded. Now it's all about hero shooters, extraction shooters, tactical shooters, battle royales, etc, etc, etc. Don't get me wrong, MOBAs are still vastly popular, but when there's only a handful of games within the genre, it makes you question the viability of said genre. Let's ignore those phone MOBA games for now. Shoo, go away, I'll talk about you later. It's great that Deadlock still gets a lot of massive updates. Each one that Valve pumps out nudges the game ever closer to a final release date. And while I have no doubt in my mind that Deadlock will have a sizable, active, and dedicated player base when it comes out, I have to ask this rather broad and generalized question. Do new MOBAs still have a place in modern gaming? And can Deadlock carry the MOBA genre moving forward? And if you'll allow me, Internet Wanderer, that's what I want to talk about in this video today. Quick heads up, I have some channel announcements that I'm going to be doing towards the outro of this video. It would mean a lot to me if you stuck around till the end of the video to learn more. Outside of that announcement, I will also be live streaming the same day as this video upload. Come on by and say hello. And massive thanks to the YouTube members who continue to support me and keep these shitty casino sponsorships away. I really hate gambling. All of you guys are awesome. Back to the video. Small disclaimer, I will be talking a lot about games and their history. However, this isn't supposed to be a comprehensive overview of the MOBA genre or of Deadlock. I will be skipping over a lot of things for the sake of time. Got all that? Alright. The MOBA genre had their peak in the early to semi-late 2010s. If I had to put a rough estimate, I'd say from the years of 2011 to 2017. That was the golden age of MOBAs. But leading up to that point, and even during its golden age, a lot of MOBAs scrambled to get their footing in the gaming space. You had the original Dota All-Stars, and then you had HON acting as a Dota 1.5, League of Legends coming onto the scene in 2009, Dota 2 shortly thereafter, Smite being the first MOBA that really changed up the point of view, Strife was made by the HON developers trying to make a more casual MOBA, Heroes of the Storm carved out its niche as a itemless MOBA, as well as implementing other unique mechanics, and Paragon was a solid attempt by Epic Games at their own third-person MOBA. There were also a bunch of other mixed genre games as well, like Super Vibe, Battle Right, Battleborn, Battlefield, probably not that last one.
That's a tank. That's a tank!
MOBA fever was everywhere. Anybody who was playing multiplayer games at the time literally could not get away from MOBAs, even if you yourself are not a fan of the genre. However, it all started to change around 2016-2017. That's when games like Overwatch, PUBG, Fortnite started popping off. Even fellow Valve game Counter-Strike was paving the way for tactical shooters to come like Rainbow Six Siege and Valorant. Don't get me wrong, around that time MOBAs were still top dogs, but their dominance was already slowly fading, and with time, their supremacy was basically over. Now, I don't think it's a hot take for me to say that almost all of these MOBAs that I listed, with the two exceptions, have either fallen off massively or are just straight up dead. In fact, take a look at Steam's latest releases within the MOBA genre, and to say that this is barren is a bit of an understatement. I imagine most people aren't jumping out of their seats to play any of these games listed here. In fact, take a look at any Steam chart for any MOBA that isn't Dota, and it paints a very bleak picture. Some of these MOBAs might have had great peak player counts, but none of them had the endurance to survive anything longer than like a year. So by the 2020s, any company that was seeking to make a new live service game, and that live service game just so happened to be a MOBA, was probably synonymous with a server shutdown tweet. This was the environment that Deadlock was coming into. Most people will probably say it's a pretty bad time for Deadlock to debut, huh? Well, I have no doubt in my mind that Deadlock can hold its own and then some in this modern, hyper-competitive gaming landscape. And in order to talk about that, we gotta talk about Deadlock. Deadlock was Valve's super secret project that they've been working on for roughly 5 to 6 years in secret. It's a third-person MOBA that heavily borrows elements from other games. It has the insane MOBA mechanics of Dota 2, the shooting and personality of TF2, the movement and verticality of Titanfall 2. It's quite the unique blend of games. On a personal note, the thing that most impressed me about this game is the verticality of Deadlock. Almost all other third-person MOBAs never really take advantage of the 3D space. Smite might as well be like the original Doom and Wolfenstein for as far as they take their 3D-ness, if you get my drift. Point is, there has never been a blending of genres as masterful as Deadlock. Yes, there's been other MOBAs that try to mix in other game genres for sure, but none of them felt like they were taking full advantage of the best when it comes to the genres that they were mixing. Sometime back in 2024, Deadlock got leaked, Valve said fuck it and started letting people into the playtest. I actually made a video about people's initial impressions of the game. A lot of you guys watched it, thank you for that. And the game has been progressing solidly from there. Deadlock has been getting more and more updates over time, further polishing the game ever more and more. At the time of recording this video, Deadlock's latest update is the Old Gods and New Blood update. This thing added and revamped a lot of things. The biggest one of all being the brand new patrons that they added. And just holy shit, man, I'm a huge fan of the Hidden King. Just look at this thing, and everything about it is just Listen, I'm a huge fan of Deadlock's soundtrack overall, but can we just take a moment to appreciate the Hidden King's theme at the start of the game? Just take a listen. Valve had no right to cook this hard, man. I asked some of my Zoomer friends to find an appropriate descriptor of Deadlock's music, and they said, and I quote, "It's bussin'." Deadlock also has some of the coolest menus that I've ever seen because it doesn't have one. Instead, its menu is done via this hideout apartment. This is how you know that all Deadlock characters are secretly millionaires, because in order to afford a place this big in New York City is like worth 3 slices of garlic bread. Considering the setting and occult theme of Deadlock, an affordable apartment in New York City is supernatural. Everything that you can expect from a game's menu is here. Matchmaking options, practice rooms, decorations, trophies, and many more features to come. I know other games do this as well, it's not unique to Deadlock. But again, Valve didn't have to do this, but they did it anyway. Fun fact, your Steam status actually changes depending on which hero you're currently using in the hideout. All of this meticulous detail, and League of Legends' client still doesn't have a polygon in sight. I can't wait for this UI update to come out in 2027, that way I can finally view the client in full screen, and crash the desktop anyway. Deadlock is a MOBA, and naturally that means it's going to be driven mostly by its characters. And despite a lot of these characters being unfinished, a lot of them are just really cool. Except Bebop. He fucking sucks. And anyone who plays him is a massive degenerate. Am I right, guys? Yeah, that's right. However, before I go any further about them, I have to tangent a little bit about the new heroes that they've been adding to the game. As of this latest update, we got 6 new heroes. Awesome, great, new characters. But if I can say a hot take, I kinda dislike how hot everybody is now. You know, like 4 or maybe 5 or maybe 6 if you're a weird bastard of the new heroes that was added in this update can be considered conventionally attractive. Now, of course, I'm not saying you should make heroes unappealing. Of course not. League of Legends suffers from this problem with all the human characters looking like supermodels. I understand that Deadlock is a shooter, so I don't expect, you know, gigantic characters like Underlord to be playable. I don't know, maybe I'm alone here, but I would like to see more characters appealing to the less is more design philosophy of heroes moving forward. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Deadlock's characters are gooner bait. If you want an example of a game that has unbelievable amount of gooner baits, look no further than Marvel Rivals. Holy shit, man, have some fucking shame with your marketing, Jesus H. Christ. Deadlock's character designs are still amazing and incredibly thought out. All I'm saying is with future heroes, I'm hoping that Valve can offer us more diverse character design instead of defaulting to attractive supermodel. That being said, I would still smash the fuck out of Silver. Are you kidding me? For real, on God, no cap. On the topic of characters, I just want to quickly gush about them, because holy shit, Valve do be cooking. Semi-related to this, but at the time of this recording, Highguard, the long-awaited hero shooter, just came out.
Try those crystals. Your axe will do the job.
Shut up. To universal acclaim.
So when you shoot him, he disappears, right? Because he's like, oh, friendly fire, you know. All they did was shrink his character model, but you can still see it. You'll see it.
Here's Viper from Deadlock, the best girl failer that ever did fail. Her character model isn't even finished yet, and she has more personality in a few character interactions than all the characters in Highguard, Concord, and X-Defiant combined. In fact, so many characters within Deadlock have some of the best voice work and, more importantly, character writing of any character-driven game I've ever seen since TF2. Fuck it. All of these idiots are incredibly fleshed out, and they didn't even need a high-budget cinematic to win people over. Although Valve will definitely make one for Deadlock when this game nears completion.
I heard a rumor that you moved in with Lady Geist.
Don't want to talk about it.
Who would have thought that a simple business card could start a star-crossed romance?
Nothing romantic about it, pal.
Not yet.
Not ever.
Point is, the voice lines and character designs, even the unfinished ones, can speak for themselves. From all the women characters gushing over Corpse Husband.
Thanks.
Never put on a shirt.
You got it.
Lash being an unbelievably arrogant asshole despite being much smarter than he lets on.
If Columbia ever needs an adjunct professor to teach a course in being amazing, the Lash is happy to oblige.
I'm shocked you know what an adjunct is.
Viscous being an absolute cinnamon toast of a slime ball.
Hello,
Oh God, it's talking to me.
I'm Viscous.
I can see that.
I'm made of goo.
And Doorman being G-Man's zesty younger brother.
You could have at least changed when you got off of work.
I did.
You're still wearing your uniform.
But this one's freshly pressed.
There's quite a few videos out there of people dissecting and just gushing over Deadlock's unfinished hero designs, and even though they're extremely rough and unfinished, people can see the passion, people can see the vision. And since I kind of want to pad out the runtime of this video just a little bit, here are some of the best hero interactions that I've found in Deadlock. Big shout out to Deadlock, who not only compiled all of these hero interactions, but went through the effort of also acting out the characters as if it's a machinima. That's some next level stuff right there.
Did you do it?
Wesley, if I was gonna murder your grandkids, we both know I would have tied you down and made you watch.
You got a son? Why? Because I want to marry into money and wait 5 years and bump off my husband for the inheritance? Because this bird wasn't meant to be in a gilded cage, baby.
You have a pillow.
Cause I'm gonna sleep.
I see the patron looks to test my patience today.
I can't believe I'm here next to you.
That's what the Lash does. Makes dreams come true.
You smell even better when you're awake.
The presentation of Deadlock is amazing. But what about the other side of the coin? The gameplay. Listen, man, I don't want to sound like a broken record here. It's good. It's amazing. Ice Frog, the guy who saved and made Dota into what it is today, is actually the guy who is leading Deadlock's development. Its gameplay is deep, it's rewarding, and punishing in equal measure. It has insane movement tech with Viscous. It has teleport lineups with Drifter. There's hundreds of items and abilities to learn. You get the gist. It's a deep MOBA. Probably the deepest MOBA that you can find other than Dota. And in a gaming industry where more and more things are getting streamlined, isn't it nice nice to find a game that isn't afraid to make things unbelievably complicated without being extremely overwhelming. That's actually a lie. This game is incredibly overwhelming. Holy shit, who am I trying to kid here? But despite all that, many other content creators have actually fully signed on into Deadlock. Funk, a legendary TF2 video essay maker, is now fully committed to Deadlock. Average Jonas was once a very active Valorant player, now he streams full-time on Deadlock. Andrew Chicken was once a Paladins content creator, now it's Deadlock all day, every day. And as the game continues its growth, more and more creators are gonna hop onto the Deadlock bandwagon and make the game their own.
Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on Latch.
What?
A hero for assholes.
Hey man, what are you doing? They're not ready for you yet.
I wrote a little bit about Deadlock's development progress. Feel free to read it if you like.
Alright, that's enough out of you. Anyway, point is, a lot of people see the game's potential and are more than willing to hitch their wagon onto Deadlock, patiently waiting to see what its future updates have in store. And speaking of future updates, that's actually gonna be my next topic. Hey guys, look at this. Headcanon time. So we all know that MOBAs were at their most popular during the early to late 2010s, and they're past their prime now. They can still have insane player numbers, but they aren't the hotness that they once were. Unlike your mother, who still makes me act up to this day. Let's put it like this. MOBAs are most likely going to retain a dedicated player base even far into the future. However, my concern mostly is in regards to new MOBAs, new games in the genre. And to say that it's kinda bleak is a bit of an understatement. Here's an example. There's an upcoming MOBA called March of the Giants. This thing was originally headed by Amazon Game Studios. Yikes. And apparently now it's owned by Ubisoft? Double yikes. Originally, when I heard the premise, it was kinda interesting. You're a giant who controls mini armies. MOBAs already have minions and creeps and troopers, so the fact that this game is kinda built around you controlling them was kinda interesting. That being said, I don't know, the game looks rough. And is it just me, or does its artwork kinda look like it was made with AI? Is it unfair for me, or anyone, to call out a game's fate before it's released? Yeah, it is unfair, but at the same time, holy shit, this MOBA is fucking cooked, man. It never stood a chance. I don't think it's a controversial thing to say that the era of traditional MOBAs is kinda over. We still might get them every now and then, but they're unlikely to gain mass appeal moving forward. And it's only going to be these two games that are even semi-relevant. And yes, I know that there's MOBA games on mobile phones as well, like Mobile Legends and stuff like that. I might sound elitist when I say this, but do you guys really care about those games? Because I fucking don't. Do you want to know what happened to the other MOBAs? Heroes of the Storm stopped all development by Blizzard long ago. Still has a decent player base, but dwindling ever more. Smite 1 is still pulling decent numbers, but it's also declining. And Smite 2 is basically on life support. Strife is deader than dead, and Paragon and its offshoots are either dead or never really existed in the first place. Looking at all this, how can a new MOBA make a dent? I'll tell you how. They gotta do that Bear Grylls meme and adapt. And that's where Deadlock comes in. It already expertly meshes in so many game genres together. And I think with it further refining and combining these game elements is the key to its future success. For example, in its latest update, Deadlock added a turbo casual game mode, Street Brawl. Instead of the usual 6v6, it's now 4v4. Instead of 3 lanes, it's now just 1. The pattern of farming creeps for items, instead you got this roguelite spin the wheel for modifiers. Except these modifiers are actually in-game items, broken up by tiers. Many people who play Deadlock are either MOBA fans or hero shooter fans, who struggle with certain aspects about the game. A MOBA player might struggle with the shooting and movement, aka unks like me.
What? What the fuck? What the fuck was that?
And shooter players might struggle with the macro strategy of a MOBA, aka Zoomers, like you.
Skibbity Toilet Gat Ohio Sigma Tyson at W Riz.
Street Brawl is broken up by rounds. You win by destroying an objective building. The rounds can go by really quick, almost as fast as Counter-Strike rounds if you really lock in. All the random items you get by spinning the wheel is honestly perfect. It's an amazing tool to teach those unfamiliar with the item shop and tells them what these certain items do, and it also allows for more familiar players to experiment with new builds and hero compositions. Sometimes Sometimes people are afraid to try out new builds in a normal Deadlock match, but they're more than willing to try it in Street Brawl. And that's also not mentioning all the people who are too lazy to open up sandbox mode to test out new builds. That's not a joke, by the way. I know a lot of longtime MOBA players who never touch their game's respective testing or sandbox modes. Although I can excuse League of Legends' practice mode. Waiting 2 minutes to load into a demo map and set up everything doesn't exactly sound fun. You can't even switch champions when you're in-game. You have to quit and load up everything all over again. Bravo, Riot Games. So if some MOBA players can't be bothered to theory craft and experiment, non-MOBA players, or just new players to the genre in general, are even less likely to do so. For the handful of fighting game players in my audience, this is the same as asking someone to lab an enemy matchup to learn what the hell they're doing to you.
He doesn't know what's happening, this poor guy.
Which every time I ask my friends to do so, they give me this weird response. Fuck off. This is why Street Brawl is so damn perfect. For example, I never play gun builds in any of my Deadlock games because my aim is ass. But I'm more than comfortable with trying out gun builds in Street Brawl. In essence, Street Brawl can be that bridge that allows casual players to ease themselves into Deadlock. And even if they have no intention to ever play the MOBA aspect of Deadlock, just playing the casual game mode is more than enough. It gives them a taste of the depth that's present in the game. If your average casual gamer can fully understand just how deep these MOBAs can go, but still appreciate the more simple aspects, then that just means it's a great game mode and a great addition to the game. In fact, this headcanon isn't deep enough. Let's get deeper. Deadlock has already shown that they've added roguelike elements to the game with Street Brawl, so why not take it a step further? Fun fact for those who don't know, some of the original Risk of Rain developers were actually hired by Valve, and I'm almost certain that they're working on Deadlock. So why not take the roguelike element to the max and just add a PvE co-op game mode in the future? Valve has shown that they can make extremely well-made and balanced co-op roguelites with MOBAs before. Aghanim's Labyrinth was a game mode that they added to Dota 2 a few years ago, and it was amazing. Valve, please give it back. I will pay you all of the money that I earn from my YouTube memberships if you could just make Aghanim's Labyrinth into an official game mode. Please, on an unrelated note, please sign up to my YouTube membership. Thank you. It's technically not a roguelite, but TF2's Man vs. Machine is another great example of co-op gameplay from Valve. It's a shame that Valve never went further with co-op games. Oh well.
Grabbing pills.
Grabbing puke? Grabbing heroin. Adrenaline.
So if Valve can pull off a roguelike game mode in Dota and co-op in their other games, and I don't see any reason why they can't implement it in Deadlock as well. And since the game isn't out yet, everything that Valve adds to Deadlock from this point forward is still considered part of its foundation. Apologies if you're watching this video in the future, but at the time of this recording, Deadlock hasn't come out yet. Back when Dota was still in its closed beta, it had no roguelike foundation back then, nor did it for a long time after its official release. Deadlock is still in a closed playtest, and it already has an amazing roguelike backbone. So I say to Valve, full send it. If you need further convincing about the potential PvE game mode, I gotcha. At the time of this video, almost all the jungle monsters in Deadlock are placeholder. Even mid-boss. All of them are this weird tripod, mono-eyed alien looking thing. So, it's safe to say that there's probably going to be a dedicated update in the future that fleshes out the jungle monsters to be more diverse, kind of like Dota's jungle monsters. So, doesn't that sound like the perfect excuse to craft a PvE experience with all of these new potential monsters? Look at the Risk of Rain series. Look at all the different diverse monster and enemy types that you can face in that roguelite. Now swap out the playable character with a Deadlock hero and all of the enemies with the jungle monsters, and there you go, you got yourself a perfect roguelike game mode. It just makes so much sense. That means Deadlock will have dedicated players for the MOBA aspect, Street Brawl, and this potential co-op roguelite mode. Now, I have to admit that all of this is banking on a headcanon on top of another headcanon. That's true, but at the same time, I've been sipping that Half-Life copium for over 20 years. This shit is child's play, comparatively speaking. And fuck it, here's another headcanon for you. Deadlock's potential release date. Don't worry, I'm gonna be quick here since we don't actually have any concrete data on this. So far, we've had 2 big updates to Deadlock to date, both of them releasing 6 heroes each for a total of 12 new heroes. Both these updates were roughly 5 months apart. Let's call these the Big Hero 6 updates. For a developer as notoriously lazy such as Valve, this amount of content that they were able to pump out in a short amount of time is honestly kinda amazing. However, it is obviously not sustainable. Sure, we've had 2 of these Big Hero 6 updates, but how many more can we honestly expect? If you ask me, I predict another 1, maybe 2 of these multi-hero updates before this game is finally ready for release. As of the recording of this video, we have 38 heroes. Let's assume that we can expect 2 more Big Hero 6 updates. That brings the number to a nice and clean 50. Now obviously, we don't know if Valve is gonna stick to this whole release model of dropping 6 heroes at a time. Point is, eventually it's gonna slow down, and when that slowdown happens, that probably means this game is nearing release. So taking into account hero releases and all the other things that they have to polish up for this game before its final release date, my rough estimation for this game, I would have to say the winter months of 2026, maybe early 2027. If you're viewing this from the future, please let me know how wrong I am. Thanks. And one last headcanon for the road. It's the last one, I promise. I predict that Deadlock is also going to be added to consoles. It already has full controller support, and if I had to guess, Deadlock is also going to be a prime piece of software for whenever the Steam machines come out. So that means that in the future, playing Deadlock in your living room will be a reality for many people. Again, if you're watching this video in the future, please let me know in the comment section down below if I was either correct or more likely, dead wrong in all of my predictions here. This is totally not bait for audience engagement, by the way. And to finally cap off this part of the video, I just have a few more things to say. It's not a headcanon, but it's more like me just being hopelessly optimistic, I guess. Valve are veterans of the gaming industry. They can, for the most part, understand the vibe and overall direction of the industry. They have world-class MOBAs and shooters under their belts, and making zany characters is something that they are very familiar with. So if they wanted to make a world-class hero shooter MOBA with co-op roguelike elements and amazing characters to boot, do you really think that that's something that Valve is incapable of doing? I don't think so. And if I can get a little anecdotal for a second, I was actually worried that Dota was actually dying. I was worried that its update frequency was lessening as time went on. This is actually one of the topics that I discussed in my Dota update video. For example, one of the things that I noticed was that IceFrog's name was being used less and less by the community. Newer players weren't even familiar with that name. I just assumed that IceFrog had stopped working on Dota and instead shifted his priority to Deadlock. And because I thought this, I saw Deadlock as Dota's successor, at least in my mind. And that means the expectations for Deadlock is sky high. In reality, we don't actually know what IceFrog and Valve's priorities are. Dota's rate of updates has actually more or less remained the same, even for many years ago. So if you want my confession, I was just worried that my favorite game, Dota 2, was dying and I placed a lot of unfair expectations upon its apparent successor, when none of that is even remotely true. If and when Deadlock fully gets released, I don't think that Deadlock is gonna cannibalize Dota's player base and vice versa. These two games share genres, but they couldn't be any more different from one another. And thus, I'm excited to see the day when these two incredible games can stand shoulder to shoulder. And to finally answer the questions that I laid out at the beginning of this video, do new MOBAs still have a place in the modern gaming world? Absolutely, as long as they evolve along with it. But that second question is the one that I really want to answer. Can Deadlock carry the MOBA genre? Honestly, probably not. Not by itself at least. But then again, who said it was just a MOBA? It's so much more than just that. And I think I'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for watching, Internet Wanderer. Let me know if you disagree with any of the statements that I made in this video. Do the YouTube things. I have a few announcements to make. Some people were requesting me to make a Patreon, so I did. I'm also making some small updates to the YouTube membership tiers. It would mean a lot to me if you signed up on either one of those. I'm hoping that by the end of this year I can go full-time on YouTube, and all your support is helping me get closer to that goal. Other than that, I'll be live streaming the same day as this video. Thank you again for watching.